Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 15 balance changes which are coming to Brawl Stars pretty soon. So Brawl Stars did say they're not sure when these changes will be live because they want to fit a bunch of changes into one maintenance after the new season drops. So this could literally be happening this weekend. More than likely, I would say probably like Monday they'll do these changes. But let's dive into it anyway. So just before we get into it, make sure to subscribe because I'll be giving you guys the best content for this new season. Anyways, let's jump into it. So the first brawler getting 2 nerfs is Moe. So he's getting a projectile speed main attack nerf from well, 22% nerf. That's basically what it is. The numbers are pretty hard to decipher, so I put a visual on the screen, so I can definitely feel this nerf for sure. Again, 22% sounds just ginormous, but I still think Moe, he's going to be a big problem because there's just so many great things about him. He's not going to be as impressive, but I think he definitely needs a bit more of a nerf, and his other nerf is with his damage. So it's going from 1080 to 1000, which is a 7% nerf. So I was actually hoping for some other changes as well because of just how broken he is. I still anticipate him being an S tier brawler easily. So now jumping into 2 nerfs to Kenji. So Kenji and Moe were the most picked and banned brawlers in World Finals, and were just clearly the best 2 brawlers in the game. And Kenji's receiving 2 nerfs. So his shield star power is going from a 90% damage reduction to 60%. So straight away, I knew this star power was just dumb, right? 90%. Who even thought of that idea? I think they just made it ridiculously too strong. Down to 60%. So I think you're still going to be able to tank some big shots, but it's not going to be nowhere near as impressive anymore. And then you've got a super charge from Super Nerf. So in numbers, this is a 35% nerf. So I think the only interaction that's really changed here is if you get a double hit with your super, and then normally you will need only 2 hits to then cycle your super again. They've actually made this so after you get a double hit, you need 3 hits instead. So the early interaction there. So I still see Kenji being an S tier brawler, nowhere near as impressive, but absolutely this isn't enough to tone him down. Next brawler that's receiving a nerf is Larry. So he's receiving a small HP nerf. His HP is going from 6,000 to 5,600, so only a 7% nerf, which isn't a lot, but I've been asking for this for a small time because I think the twins have just been so ultra consistent. They were just really versatile in draft throughout Worlds, and for months now I think they've been sneakily S tier. I wouldn't say the casuals think he's incredibly strong, but there's just too much versatility to the twins. You can play them in knockout, bounty, brawl, gem grab. They're just way too good, so the HP nerf will tone him down a little bit. Next up on the nerf list, we have Surge. So I knew this was coming for months now. He's just been wrecking the meta, and especially with his hyper charge, he's been way too dominant. So his hyper charge rate is going from 30% to 20%. So what this means, normally he would need 3 supers and 1 hit to charge his hyper charge, so theoretically 10 hits. Now he will need 5 full supers to build up his hyper charge, so 15 hits. This is an extra 5 hits to get that hyper charge, which doesn't really sound like a lot, but I think that'll definitely impact him in the meta, especially if you've got an unfavorable matchup. Typically with Surge, you could probably get 2, maybe 3 hyper charges in a game. Now you're looking at 1, maybe 2 at a stretch, so this is definitely going to tone him down, but again, this isn't going to remove him from at least the A tier. So next up on the nerf list, we have Gail. So Gail's still been dominating even after his nerfs. His super charge from basics is getting a nerf from, in value, 90 to 80. So in brackets, they put 4 to 5 attacks ish. It's pretty hard to actually judge this, so it's around 11% nerf. So as always, what I say is around 7% is a meaningful nerf, so 11% is definitely going to be noticeable. Again, Gail's been way too dominant in World Finals. He's just drafted so often. His hype charge is absolutely disgusting, and I think what this will do as well, it will actually make it harder for him to cycle his hyper charge super as well. So some small interaction changes. I definitely see this making a big change to Gail. I don't think he'll be S tier anymore. So the next brawler on the nerf list is Clancy. He's receiving 3 nerfs during the World Finals. It was very evident that he was so incredibly strong. The meta has shifted. He's kind of replaced Chester in the meta as that tank counter, and he's so incredibly strong. So he's receiving 3 nerfs technically here. So the first one is kind of like a mini rework. His main attack damage at all ranks is being changed. So Before, it was just 1,600 at all times. Now it depends on what level you are. So at level 1, you'll deal 1,200 damage. At level 2, 1,400. At level 3, 1,600. So essentially, this is a overall 13% damage nerf. So I like this change. So it just makes it so he's even worse at those lower levels. But I still feel like at level 3, he's too good. But you'll be glad to hear there is a nerf for that. So his super damage at level 3 is going from 1,520 to 1,400, which is an 8% nerf. So those are two big nerfs to Clancy. I'm hoping that tones him down. I'd have actually liked to see something along the lines of even losing like 1 token if you die, because I feel like there's just, you know, he reaches level 3, he wins, right? So yeah, Clancy's definitely going to be toned down, but I still see him being a menace. Lastly on the nerf list, we have Frank. So he's receiving a main attack damage nerf. It's going from 2,480 to 2,320. So that is a 6% damage nerf. Again, I've seen in World Finals, especially if some teams were abusing Frank last pick a lot of the time, because again, his damage is still insane. If you just catch him at low HP, he can just deal some insane amount of burst damage so quickly that you can't even blink and you're dead. So 6% is definitely going to tone him down a lot. I would have actually liked to see a different nerf. I would have actually liked to see a nerf to his hypercharge shield, which might sound weird. I think he's too tanky when he pops that hypercharge, which is just absurd. And I think if they turn it down a bit, he'll be more balanced. But I'm excited to test this out because maybe this will impact him more than I think. So now we're going to be moving on to the buffs. There's only 4 buffs. The main reason being is because for any like big reworks, they need like a client update. So I don't think there's going to be any big reworks until the next update, which will probably be sometime around Christmas, right? So let's jump into the first one. So first one is Charlie. She's receiving a base attack damage buff going from 1,520 to 1,600, which is a 5% buff. So this is essentially reverting June's nerf. So if you guys watch monthly finals, she was played once, and even when she was played, she had such a favorable matchup and she still lost. So that just goes to show just how bad Charlie is. But I just don't think that she's really there in the meta right now. I think she needs a little bit more, but at least it's some type of buff. The next brawler on the buff list is Ash, and he's receiving a small buff. His rage from getting hit is going from 150 to 180. That's the in-game numbers. So essentially all we need to know is a 20% buff. So he's just going to be able to get raged up even better. I think this is a great buff because Ash is just a walking super totem. Basically just how Frank used to be in the past and how Hank is right now. That's basically Ash. It's so hard for him to close the gap, but at least with getting more rage through getting hit, he's going to be able to gain speed faster, damage faster, and just be able to ramp up much quicker. So I'm liking this. I'm not sure whether it's going to make the biggest of impacts, but 20% buff in numbers sounds interesting, so I want to test this one out. Next brawler on the buff list is Spike, and he's receiving another HP buff. He's going from 5,200 health to 5,600, which is 8%. So this is kind of wild. He's received pretty much back-to-back HP buffs, which I don't know what kind of avenue they're taking here. Spike to me has always just been seen as a super squishy brawler. Maybe they don't want to make these super squishy brawlers because they're too easy to counter. In the past, they've nerfed his damage, his hype charge rate, etc. Maybe this seems like they don't want to go down the damage route with Spike. They want to try something else and not make him too broken to the casual players. So again, I don't think personally this is going to make him a meta brawler, mainly because they think you use Spike for damage, right? And he just doesn't deal enough damage to keep up with the meta. But maybe I'm underrating him. We'll have to test him out. So the final brawler on the buff list is Brock, and I'm actually surprised by this one. He's receiving a 13% buff to his health. It's going from 4,800 to 5,400. So again, I'm surprised. I know his play rates and win rates haven't been exactly amazing for a while, and he started to drop down a lot. But in World Finals, you definitely saw there was a use case for him. He was used like 5 or 6 times, I believe, with a good win rate. For example, Elevate were just really good with Brock. I think he always deserves to be pretty squishy. Maybe they're just buffing his HP to try and tone him up with the other snipers. Again, I think there's bigger issues with Brock, and the main one is his hypercharge super. It's the fact that pros are literally, you know, they're popping their super and then the hypercharge directly afterwards instead of using the hypercharge super. That just goes to show that how bad the hypercharge super is. That needs to be fixed, not his health or anything else. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, we were literally told the balance changes like 4-5 hours ago, so I've had to pretty much rush this video. In theory, I think the changes are pretty good. I think there's going to be like indirect nerfs and buffs. So you're going to probably see some big changes to brawlers in the meta. I didn't receive any changes, but because, you know, for example, Clancy, Gail, Surge, Kenji, Moe got nerfed, you're going to see other brawlers rise. That's my prediction anyway. So that's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.